Okay, for this one, we have to get really deep and philosophical. When Baldwin talks about the master slave relationship, he's obviously, on one level, talking about a literal relationship between masters and slaves. But remember that Baldwin is writing from a literary background, and almost everything he writes has multiple levels of meaning to it. In this case, I argue that he's also explicitly referencing a very complicated philosophical work called The Phenomenology of Spirit by Friedrich Hegel, and especially what's generally translated as the master-slave dialectic. So, to understand the master-slave dialectic, we have to understand these two fundamental experiences of humans in the world according to Hegel. First, the relationship between self and otherness is the fundamental defining characteristic of human awareness and activity. Being rooted as it is in the emotion of desire for objects, as well as in the estrangement from those objects, which is part of the primordial human experience of the world. That is, one of the most profound experiences in shaping us as human beings is the awareness of ourselves as distinct things with physical boundaries separate from everything else in the world. We desire these other things in the world that are separate from us, but can't subsume them into ourselves. We sort of want the whole world to be part of us, and particularly part of us in the sense that they're under the control of our will. The otherness that our consciousness experiences as a barrier to its goal of having everything in the world a part of itself and under the control of its own will, is the external reality of the natural and social world, which prevents individual consciousness from becoming free and independent. That is, you don't have absolute control over your environment or even yourself, as you're bounded by your own physical reality and by the physical reality of the rest of the objects in the world. So you're not absolutely free. You're not really independent. The other fundamental experience is our understanding of ourselves as a separate and distinct consciousness. That is, the development of self-consciousness. The awareness that there are other consciousnesses in the world besides your own, and they might have different thoughts, goals, and ideas than you have. To Hegel, the only way this self-consciousness can occur is when we're confronted with other distinct consciousnesses, and we recognize that the other thing confronting us is another consciousness, so that we even have the concept that there are distinct consciousnesses in the world, that the whole world isn't all just a part of us. Further, in order for our new self-consciousness to be fully realized, we need to be mutually recognized by the other consciousnesses we're encountering. We don't have anything like the time to work through all of what that means, but you can think of it as a deep drive to be recognized as another consciousness by others who you recognize as conscious beings. We are skipping over a ton of stuff just to get to the guts of the most important part for Baldwin. When you're in a relationship of mastery over another consciousness, you're given acknowledgement through the submission and dependence of the other. However, this turns out to be deficient recognition, and that the dominant consciousness fails to see a reflection of itself in the subservient consciousness. Adequate recognition requires a mirroring of the self through the other, which means that to be successful, for your self-consciousness to be fully realized, the recognition must be mutual. Okay, so that's kind of the core of the Hegelian idea that Baldwin is going to pick up on for his own analysis here. Now, Baldwin implies that by creating a category black, that is by definition less than human, those who enter into the category white fundamentally deprive themselves of the possibility of the mutual recognition of the other. This is a part of where his long analysis of the myths of Aunt Jemima and Uncle Tom come in. On pages 26 and 27, he says, "If we could boast that we understood them, it was far more to the point and far more true that they understood us. They were, moreover, the only people in the world who did. And not only did they know us better than we knew ourselves, but they knew us better than we knew them. Aunt Jemima and Uncle Tom, our creations, at last evaded us." In our final video, we'll talk about the fourth erasure of Black humanity that Baldwin identifies in America. As always, review this video in your notes, message me with questions, and when you're ready, scroll down for the final video.